Hello and welcome to the Long Island Weather Update and Outlook. It's 9 p.m. on February 11th, and it was a rather cloudy, day again today. Just slightly cooler than yesterday. The clouds are breaking up a little bit this evening, but expect plenty of clouds around us this week. Cold front winds up stalling to the south. This is our satellite imagery here. You can see the front's kind of hung up to the south there. You can see a little bit of clear sky here. But we're definitely going to be dealing with more clouds again. If we look at the CONUS, you can see here what we've got going on. Here's our storm taking shape here. Actually, some severe weather in the south. They've even had some strong thunderstorms in California with the atmospheric river. But you can see here strong surge of warm air coming in ahead of that storm system and causing severe weather. If we actually change this over to GLM flash intensity, you can see quite a bit of lightning. And unbeknownst to me, they even had, back on Thursday, they actually had tornadoes in Wisconsin. And quite a lot of lightning there, too, as well. So very unusual to see this in February, of course, of all times. Let's see if we can take a look and see what this storm system looked like during the day. I'll roll this back to 72 hours. So you can see, again, this is a massive storm system with a lot of moisture with it. And this is what's going to be affecting us late Monday night into Tuesday. And the question, of course, is what type of precipitation is it going to be? So looking at our weather map here, you see here's our storm right here. There's a cold front that's kind of draped over here. This is the cold front that would supply the cold air for snow, though I'm thinking it's going to be more toward the backside of the storm. And again, I think some of the models are just completely out of hand with this storm, and just completely not making any sense at all whatsoever. If we look at the winter weather outlook here, let's see if we go here. I don't know what this has here. You can see it's just to the north of us here where there would be probability of snowfall, that they have the probability of snowfall. So they're not very confident at all in any snow at all for us. I think we'll see some, but I don't think it's going to be a whole lot. Looking at the radar, again, not a whole lot going on. Most of it's over the south. You can see quite a bit of these severe thunderstorms here. There actually is, if we look at the Storm Prediction Center, you see actually a tornado watch in effect with around a slight risk of severe weather there. It looks like over, is that Louisiana? So northern Louisiana there is where that tornado watch is, which is pretty crazy to see in February of all time. So here we go. We've got that tornado watch in effect here. It looks like we've got one flash flood warning in effect here, and zooming in, looks like we've got another flash flood warning and a lot of flash flood warnings. So a lot of heavy rain with these, and one severe thunderstorm warning right now, and actually it's a special marine warning along the coast there. To the north of that, you got flood watches and winter weather advisories and winter storm watches and warnings in effect. You can see, looking at our area, you can see we've got the winter storm warning is all in effect to the north. But so far, nothing for us. I think winter weather advisory probably could be needed for our area on Tuesday. We also got these flood watches in effect as well. Coastal flood warnings in effect for Jersey because it's going to be a strong storm. There's going to be a lot of wind with it as well. Got gale warnings in effect as well. So right now, you can see temperatures are in the mid-40s. Generally speaking, 41 at Islip. Let's go look at our highs and lows for the day. Our highs, another warm one today, got close to 50 degrees, upper 40s to around 50, pretty much, and look at that, got up to 55 at LaGuardia, pretty warm. So that's why I find it hard to believe we're going to see all that much snow. This air mass is not that cold, and the models keep underdoing the temperatures, so it makes you wonder how they're going to handle the storm. So you can see a 34 degrees for a low at West Hampton. Nobody got below freezing. 39 at Islip, 35 in the Jersey Pine Barrens, and mid-40s for the city. So very, very much above normal. If we look at our statistics for today, high of 49, low of 41. The high was 9 degrees above normal. The low 41 was 16 degrees above normal, putting us 13 degrees above normal for the day. Central Park got up to 56 degrees, 15 degrees above normal. The low of 45 was 16 degrees above normal. That's 16 degrees above normal for the day. And let's see, Newark was 15 degrees above normal for the day. That low of 46 was 20 degrees above normal. Hard to believe we're going to be talking about snow with temperatures like this. And again, this is your storm system right here. We'll close that out. Go back to the Weather Service. They do have a briefing about it, but they mainly think that it's not going to be very much, just 1 to 2 inches for the city and Long Island. And I do have a map, which you might have seen in the thumbnail. We'll see I'm a little bit higher than that, just to cover, to have some kind of happy medium here at this point. Anyway, let's go look at our models. I guess that's what we'll start with looking at. And you'll see here that we will go over to this and we will look at our models. And we're first going to focus on the storm instead of the long range here. This is the GFS. We're looking at 18Z GFS, and you'll see here that we don't really have a big high over here. Without a big high over here, I don't see how you're going to get enough cold air to get snow. So there's the low tracking over us. You can see it's got the deep blue over us, and you think with that, oh boy, we're going to get a lot. But you'll see the temperature is going to be pretty borderline for this to happen. I mean, how are you going to get a lot of snow when the temperature is above freezing? You tell me. Even the dew points will be above freezing. So that's the problem we have. This will be a strong storm, so it will have some wind and coastal effects for sure. That's the GFS. Let's take things a lot closer here already at this point. Looking at the GFS, and we'll look at all that. So you'll see here, the temperatures are very, very borderline. So you can see it's really, I have a hard time believing that that we're going to be getting that dark blue like that. I think the model is just having some trouble at this point. It kind of goes back to rain too, light rain late in the afternoon before ending, which is kind of interesting. So that's the GFS. And if we were to look at the GFS total snowfall accumulation and take these maps with a grain of salt, by the way, it's only got a couple of dots over Long Island. You see they're generally in the 2 to 3 inch range. For the most part, the heavier snow is way, way to the north. We can go to the radar output on the GFS too as well, which is probably a better way of looking at it here. You can see it's got some heavy rain in the morning Tuesday, and then it switches over to like maybe heavy snow. It might be raining and snowing at the same time for at least part of Tuesday. I'm thinking, because again, it's going to be one of those storms that you're going to have that mix along the coast. I think I really do, and it's going to be hard to accumulate anything on the roadways with that kind of setup. So let's look at the some of the other models here. The icon, which continues to basically give us nothing. Here's the icon here at this point. It has pretty much all rain for the whole system, maybe a little bit of snow on the North Shore, and that's it. The icon basically doesn't give us anything. And if we look at the total snowfall here, you see maybe 1 to 2 inches, maybe isolated 3 inches on Long Island. It's all to the north. The icon is generally much lower on the snow output. All right, and those are the key, generally speaking, the longer range models. The European, obviously, it doesn't offer that product here on the tropical tidbits. Now let's go to the HRRR, which has been quite bullish and unrealistic in my opinion. So we'll go to the HRRR. Here's the HRRR, and you'll see here the HRRR has its rain, and then it has its mix, and then it already has its snow, and has this line way to the south here, and also, yeah, there's some dark blue here, but and you're in it for a couple of hours maybe. But the amount of snowfall accumulation that it's generating from that dark blue is not realistic. So if I go ahead and look at total snowfall, you'll see it's got as much as 6 to 8 inches on Long Island. There's no way that's going to be happening. And it's got well in excess of a foot. So I think that's way, way overdone in my opinion. Barely anything, though, for Ocean County and the Jersey Shore on this one. We can also look at positive snow depth change. This might be a little, maybe a better way, a better look at it, and maybe this maybe looks a little more realistic at this point. I still think it's overdone. We can look at the total accumulated precip. There will be a lot of precipitation with this storm. We're going to see probably 1 to 2 inches of liquid with this storm as well. So going back to GFS, it's still the same thing, 1 to 2 inches of liquid. It's just the debate is what it's going to be falling as at this point. If we go back to the HRRR here and go to the actually the dew points and wind flow here, which I'm going to go look at here. All right, going into tomorrow, you'll see we do have a north wind to start tomorrow. Then it shifts to the southwest and southeast, and then it becomes easterly. That's not a good wind for snow. Almost an easterly wind there. It's Tuesday morning. That is not a good wind for snow. These are the dew points and wind flow. Notice the dew points stay above freezing. So tell me how you're going to get a decent snow to come down when the dew point is not even below freezing. That's what I don't understand here at this point. I know it's a matter of dynamics, and some people really like to go on the dynamics. I think personally we see it at the end, the tail end is when we'll probably get the most accumulation when those dew points do drop a little more and allow because you can't get the column to get colder without that. You do have a very strong north wind. You see that, how tight those isobars are and those wind barbs there. So we're going to be dealing with that. Now looking at the actual air temperatures, you'll see here tonight, maybe we'll get down to the mid-30s. I think this is underdoing it. I mean, it's still very warm out there. I really do. And then it has tomorrow getting up to still close to 50 in Jersey, mid-40s. Again, we thought today was going to be cooler. It turned out to be just a couple degrees cooler than yesterday. Tomorrow night doesn't really drop below freezing, mid-30s, and pretty much stays in the mid-30s throughout the event. So we don't really see it drop below freezing until the storm is over. So how are you going to get a significant accumulating snow when the temperature is not even up below freezing? That's what I don't understand, and I don't understand what this model is thinking at this point. So we'll go to the NAM next, NAM 3. We have the 0Z NAM in, but that's not going to be, unfortunately, that's not going to give us enough. So let's go back to this, and we will start with this, and then we'll go to the radar simulation. So here we go. So see, it starts it as rain. NAM's a little... It starts it as rain, then it could be a mix of sleet mixing in with flakes at times, and you could get really big flakes too, perhaps. And you can see it's got some real heavy stuff. But again, I'm thinking that could be mixed with sleet at that point. So it's going to be a slushy, sloppy kind of mess, basically. And if we look at the NAM here, as far as the total snowfall on the NAM goes, again, this is toward the high side. It's not going to be this high. It's just not. It's just not. All right. If we look at the total positive snow depth change, I think it's a better way of looking at it. You'll see it only shows an inch or two. So you see how the models, people like to use the total snowfall, but that doesn't take into account whether it's going to stick or not, and the temperatures of the ground and stuff. It doesn't take that into account. So a lot of people out there, tri-state weather, are really hyping this storm. Tri-state weather in particular, I have to call them out because they're really hyping this storm to be way worse than it's going to be, at least for Long Island. Showing these maps, which make it look worse than it's actually going to be. And yeah, they have to get called out for it. So let's go look at the NAM next. And I'm at the NAM radar simulation. So this is the radar simulation now we're looking at here. And you can see you got one period where it's going to be snowing at a decent, perhaps snowing, but that could be sleet too. That could be sleet and snow falling at the same time. So I just don't see it. I don't see how you're going to get it with these type of conditions. If the track has to be further to the south, and unless we see a further shift south in the track, then I really don't think it's going to be much of a storm for us, and beyond an inch or two on the grassy surfaces. I don't think it's even going to stick to the roads at all. We'll stick to the trees, obviously, if we get enough of it. But anyway, let's look at... let's go to some of the other models I guess we can use here. FV3, which is the GFS here. All right, we actually have the 0Z in. So we can look at this one and see how far this is going to take us. It's only going to take us this far at this point. But let's see if we can notice any differences here. It is trending a little north. It is trending north. It's trending just a teeny bit north. So that's something to keep in mind as well. But pretty much from what I've seen of the storm, this is what I'm going to conclude here at this point. So I know, why aren't you showing the European? Why aren't you showing the European? Well, because we don't have the European precip type. But we can do the windy.com if we want and look at the European. And look at that as well. And we'll actually just show you the temperatures on the European. First of all, we're going to look at the winds as well with the storm, because that's the other angle of it. You'll see the temperatures are above freezing. So that's the thing. The temperatures are above freezing. All right. If we go to the total snowfall on this new snow here next 3 days, probably overdone. Let's see. 5 and it's overdone. It's overdone. If you're in Jersey, though, you're probably barely going to get anything. Long Island will certainly have a better chance at it than Ocean County will. So if you're looking for snowy, piney scenes, Long Island's probably going to be more likely to get those. Though it won't be a huge snowfall. It should be enough to at least make it look winter-like. So that's pretty much what we have here at this point on the European. All right. The factor, of course, is the wind. So we can use this model here to show you the wind and the wind gusts that we'll be getting with this storm. And there's going to be some pretty strong wind gusts. 43-mile-an-hour wind gusts here. This might be just a teeny bit overdone, but it's going to be windy. Maybe a scattered power outage or two, but we're mainly concerned about the coastal effects that we're going to have. With the northeasterly trajectory, probably not so much a beating for the South Shore, but Jersey Shore could definitely get more of a beating. If we look at these waves, you'll see here that we will have, and that's why there's a coastal flood warning in effect for that area, because we will have high water here at this point, and we're going to talk about that more tomorrow night, I think, at this point. So let's go back to this, and let's before we do that, let me go to my map. So let's go to the map here and talk about what I think is going to happen here, and you see it here on the screen here. So, first of all, from just south of Toms River, I think you're not going to get anything. South of Toms River, all rain. From Toms River to up to 195 and the extreme south shore of Long Island, a trace ranging to up to 2 inches, probably more likely on the south shore, perhaps of Long Island. Everywhere else, the city, central Jersey, 1 to 3 inches. The city, central, 1 to 3 inches, central Long Island, and most of Suffolk County, probably in that 1 to 3 inch range at this point. North of that, and then you're talking the northern suburbs, Bergen County, White Plains, southern Westchester, into part of into coastal Connecticut, 3 to 5 inches. This could also affect part of the North Shore. I'm thinking North Shore, Nassau might see the highest amounts on Long Island. North of that is where you're going to get in your winter storm warning criteria, your 6 to 10 inches up in like Sussex County, Rockland County, northern Westchester, Putnam, further north into Connecticut, and then locally up to 12 inches or more in the mountains, in the higher elevations, where you're going to have more of that snowfall. So that's the area. This is going to be a big storm for upstate to the north and west. For us, it's just going to be a slushy nuisance, basically, at this point. So at least that's what I'm thinking right now. All right. So we'll see what happens, see if anything changes for tomorrow. But let's go into the long range now and talk about the long range. So we'll go ahead and we'll first start with our jet stream here. And you'll see we still have a fire hose going in the Pacific, by the way. It's amazing we were able to get this storm with this. But that's one issue is we have marginal cold air because of that fire hose. If we didn't, then we would definitely be looking at a much more impressive snowfall. But the cold air is just not there. And that fire hose is still around a little bit. It does weaken a little bit, as you see, and you start to see some troughing in the east. We start to see the effects of the polar vortex weakening, which we'll talk about. The jet stream is starting to become more troughy in the east, which will yield to some more cold air coming down. Going to the 500. So here's the 500, and again, here's our storm. Tuesday, there's your storm right there. Not really a very impressive block over Greenland there. You start to see a little more of a block over Greenland as we get toward the later part of the month, a little bit, but then it takes it away again. So this is the problem. There's not really a very strong block, and I don't really see. I see occasional bursts of cold air, but no real frigid weather in this at all. Really, no real frigid weather. So we'll go over to the European now. Let's go over to the European 12Z European run, and pretty much the European is a little better with the troughing. You'll see. So the European favors a little more cold weather and a little more of a block there in Greenland on that European, which would definitely help bring in some more colder air into the picture at this point. So let's go to the Northern Hemisphere, and this, I don't think we get that feature on here. I got to only go to the GFS. So the polar vortex. So let's do the polar vortex here. So here's your polar vortex here. And you'll see, again, you see that split. There it is, right there. So that's what's going to help bring in the colder weather. And that polar vortex does weaken. You can see that weakening. And that's going to help to bring in some colder air. But will it be frigid air? That's the question. Will it lead to some really frigid Arctic air entering the picture or not? That is the question. So now that we're back to the lower 48, we'll go to the temperature anomaly map on the GFS here. And obviously dealing with above normal temperatures today, tomorrow. And then by Tuesday, we get to near normal to below normal with that storm. Behind the storm, it doesn't get all that cold. It gets cold, a little bit below normal, nothing dramatic. Then it warms back up again. And then you can see as we get toward the weekend into next week, that's when we have some shots of some cold air, though that first one looks like it misses us and goes to the Midwest. Then we get another, warm up again after that, and then it really doesn't show another shot of cold air again because it has. It has the problem is the Pacific is still kind of messing things up, even if the polar vortex is weakening, as you saw there. So it is more favorable, but it's not really favorable for any really bitter cold. Now, the European is a little different, I think, with this. So we'll go to the 12Z European here. And you'll see here, European brings in, it brings in a much colder shot the middle of next week there, and that's aimed more at us. So we'll have to see. But we have some opportunities, hopefully, at least one last Arctic air mass. It's so hard to get Arctic air nowadays, It's, it used to be commonplace when I was younger, to have highs in the teens, and well, we don't have that anymore. So it doesn't seem like that anyway. So let's go to the GFS here and show you. So we have that storm. That goes out. High pressure builds in. We've got the northwest northerly flow that'll bring in the colder air. Another little clipper comes by on Friday, brings us maybe a light mix or a light rain, and then another clipper for Saturday, and then behind that clipper, that's when we get in the colder air. I think you can see it's definitely got that look that it's colder, and then another storm system there. But this storm system right now is the only chance we've got at least to see some accumulating snow that I see right now for at least a good while or so. European. We'll go look at the European. So here's your European model. There's your storm again, and we'll take a closer look at that as well on the European. But that moves away, and then you can see that colder look that we have there that we get as we get into next week, and that looks. It develops a pretty strong storm well offshore, with the high pressure kind of giving us very cold air from eastern Canada there. So if we go to that last frame and go look at our temperatures. It would be pretty chilly, yeah. That would be a day that would probably stay below freezing at this point. So we'll first go over the temperatures on the European, obviously. And you see, even on the European, the temperatures are above freezing on Tuesday with that storm. After the storm at night, the temperatures will drop below freezing. And then Wednesday, we're going to have trouble making it past the mid-30s, according to the European, and mid to upper 30s on Thursday. European does run cold, though. Keep that in mind. So I know it's just showing below normal temperatures and getting all excited, but the European does have a cold bias with these temperatures. Looking at the GFS, you can see Wednesday more like mid-30s probably, and then we're already rebounding mid to upper 30s and probably even 40 or better in Jersey by Thursday. And then you could see we're probably around 40 by Friday, and then by the weekend, you could see that clipper coming through, and that's going to drop the temperatures down by Sunday. That day we may be below freezing. Sunday is going to be pretty chilly. February the 18th, it looks like, will be below freezing. And then we'll see that moderate again, and then moderate again, and then we got more warmer weather again coming after that. So we have to deal with more warmer weather. At least the GFS, look at how the GFS warms us up. This is the 18Z, however. We'll have to look at the other run and see if it's doing the same thing. Let me back off for a little 12Z, because we know the 18Z can be, oh, God, the 12Z is even worse. Oh, no. So, yeah, it's not good at all. So we may have more ridiculous warmth to deal with. But we will have some cold weather, but it won't be around for that long, probably for the next week or two. And then we could have another warm-up again, unfortunately. But at least in the next 8 to 10 days, we'll have some cold temperatures and below normal temperatures. So let's look at the skies next. Go to the RGM. And, well, we can also look at the RGM, too, as well with the storm. Which we will do as well. So here's the RGM, and you can see here's the RGM, and again, similar to the GFS at this point. It just think it's going to be a mostly rain, but toward the end, lunch around late morning to early afternoon, that's when you might see some flakes and big flakes, and maybe a good burst of snow that could put an inch or two down on the ground. Probably not the roads, but other surfaces, car tops, grassy surfaces, roofs, and stuff like that, and maybe some trees. But anyway, we were going to go to the RGM, but let me just go to the European here for a moment. And look at our storm here. So this is the storm on the European. You can see that that line is to the north of us. It's not till the storm passes that we get into the colder air toward the end part of it. But then how much moisture you're going to have left at that point. So that's the question that I got. So that's why I'm sticking to my guns with what I've got as far as the snowfall totals right now. And they may even go down. I might lower them, going toward the high end of what I'm thinking. So let's go look at the skies. Obviously, this front's stuck to the south, so we'll have some sun tomorrow, but it'll mix with high and mid-level clouds. And the clouds obviously come in for Tuesday with the storm. And then after the storm leaves, we should have mostly sunny on Wednesday, but we'll have to watch because the air isn't all that dry behind it. There may be stratocumulus decks popping up behind that storm system. And this month, not only the RGM says that, but also the GFS also says that as well. You can see right there, maybe some lake, because the air isn't all that dry. If we look at the dew points here behind this, you see the dew points aren't all that low. If we want the lower dew point air, we have to wait until we get toward that burst that Sunday. That's when we'll get the drier air at this point. So as far as clear days go, Wednesday probably have a decent amount of sun, but I think it'll mix with some clouds in the afternoon. And then Thursday, increasing high clouds. And then we're going to have clouds Friday, Saturday, and then hopefully maybe by Sunday or Monday we can clear these clouds out of here and have more sunshine again. So lastly, we'll go to I'm not going to go any further with the sky model. Let's look at the, all right, we'll start off with the 8 to 14 day, and it does have us below normal temperatures. Precipitation, slightly above normal chances. Into near normal, below normal in the Great Lakes and California. This is the problem. If California is still way above normal, how can we ever really get? Because as long as those storms keep going into California, it's not going to allow the cold air to really, the really bitter cold Arctic air to come on down. So we'll have to see. I think we have pieces of Arctic air, but as far as getting a nice, good, clean shot of it, I don't see it right now. 6 to 10 day, still well above normal in California precipitation, and below normal in the east and much of the country. So there will be cold air coming down, but the problem is that when we go back to the models here and look at our northern hemisphere, not our northern hemisphere, but our North American map here on the GFS here, and I guess we can go to this 500 here. This is our problem that we've got right now. So we still got the fire hose in the Pacific here, and the cold air. If we want the cold air to come down from the Arctic, it's not. We're just getting glancing blows at this point. So it's just we're just getting glancing blows. If we want the cold air to come down, we need this to be further south. You see this low right here. A lot of the cold air is just going to go like this. instead of coming straight down into the country. Um, you know, you don't have that good northwest to southeast isobar look to it. And then we get the trough over Greenland again. This is the GFS showing trough over. That's no good. So that's the problem. We don't really have a good strong block over Greenland to bring us the really bitter cold. So this month could still wind up being above normal, even though it will be below normal for the next 8 to 10 days or so. It could warm right back up again and bring us back above normal. So this month could still wind up being above normal. As far as an absolutely frigid day where the highs don't make it out of the teens, I don't know. It may not happen this year. It used to happen every winter, but now, in this changing climate, we just don't get it. We'll take what we can get. If we can take highs in the 20s and the upper 20s, we'll take that, at this point. But anyway, that's going to wrap up this Long Island weather update, Long Island weather outlook. We'll have more on the storm for you tomorrow. Picture will be a little clearer tomorrow night, I think. So anyway, have a good night. Thank you for watching.